Marysville Bulldogs Coach's Corner, a service of the Citizen State Banks, Darren's Repair, Inline Construction, Dean's Automotive, and Blue Valley Technologies.
Our roots are in agriculture. We're local. Many of us were born and raised in the areas that we serve. Because of that, we make our ag decisions right here at the bank. There's no waiting for some out-of-town approval on your loan requests. So rather than planting your seeds in someone else's field, stop by and let's talk. We're here to help you grow. Citizen State Bank, Marysville, Waterville, and Hanover. Member FDIC.
Sometimes the simplest ways just work the best. When you need automotive repair or service, call Darren Svoboda with Darren's Auto Repair. You'll get an experienced mechanic that you can trust to do the job right the first time. When you call, you'll talk with a mechanic, not an appointment advisor. He'll work to get your job in and out and get you back on the road. Always putting the customer first. Darren works to let you choose how much or how little repair work you actually need. Ask around. His reputation speaks for itself. Darren Svoboda with Darren's Auto Repair. A little out of the way in the alley at 604 Oak Street in Marysville, but sure worth finding. Call Darren at 562-7745.
Your new home awaits. Inline Construction can help you design and then build that dream home on your site. Or lots are available at Hartley Ridge in North Marysville. Don't wait. Make today the day you call on Inline Construction for a quote at 785-562-5525 or inlineconstruction@yahoo.com.
Welcome into the Marysville Bulldog Coaches Corner program, joined today with Ben Wertenberger, head coach of the girls team. Coach, welcome back into the program this season. You've had a chance to see your team twice now here last week, fell to Valley Heights on Thursday, but then got a big win over Sabetha Friday night. So what have you seen, I guess, in the first two games of the year that you've been pleased with or, you're needing to work on here early on?
Oh, I'd say we had a little bit of both. I feel like we've made progress through the games. If you just measure them by halves, we didn't play very well the first half against Valley Heights, and then I think the second half we played quite a little bit better. And I felt like through the Sabetha game we made progress too. In the Sabetha game, our turnovers were low, which was an issue in the Valley Heights game for sure. And we rebounded really well. We didn't shoot it quite like I think we will, but I felt like we did a good job of controlling the other controllable things. Our defensive effort is getting more consistent, which that's always a thing early in the season. You'll have possessions where you guard really well, and then you'll have a couple that you don't. And I felt like we're making progress towards making that more consistent. There were some times in the Sabetha game where we really locked them up for periods of time. And so that's exciting as, it takes a lot of work, but if your team's willing to do that, the old saying that defense travels is kind of true, where something you can kind of hang your hat on. Shooting has its nights where it's better than others, and even if you're a good shooting team, that'll always be the case. But defense is something you can be a little more consistent with.
And we were talking a little bit, too, beforehand. Obviously, Valley Heights, they brought the defensive pressure. They really got after your guards. And then Sabetha, I'll say, maybe not so much. So just to see the kind of two different styles of team as you prepare for this season, how important was that to see how your girls, reacted to each of those games and each of those game plans that you had ready for them?
Well, it is kind of an interesting way to start the season because Valley Heights is going to get up on you and play man-to-man defense. Sabetha usually does some zone pressure with, a little more fallback zone, although they do play some man too. It's really two different styles, so it takes a little getting used to. And I was pleased later in the season. That doesn't concern me as much, but when you play two really different styles back-to-back nights to start the season, that's pretty dramatic. And I thought our kids handled it really well today, or those 2 days.
Like we said, we've had a chance to see you, but for those of our listeners that maybe haven't yet, obviously, Casey is back with you, probably the biggest name that you're returning this year. So some new players that are stepping into some roles. What do your numbers look like this season, and who do you kind of, maybe want to take a step forward here in the early season on the varsity level?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. Casey's had a great year. She's first team All-League last year. She's off to a great start this year. She's averaging 16.5 points, 11.5 rebounds. That's pretty big numbers. And Aubrey Dressman, who has run our team for a couple years now, she's a big asset to have back, too. And the two of those are the only ones that really have varsity experience coming back. We played 11 girls in the first two games, and I think we'll continue to do that. I think every one of them has an opportunity to fill a bigger role. I don't really have a lot of preconceived notions on who that'll be yet. I think there's some opportunities there, but I also don't mind playing that many kids. That's a little longer bench than some guys like. I kind of like having a bunch of kids come into the game knowing they're going to play. And, one of the things that helps you do is we stress some parts of the game that tend to wear on people through the course of the game. And I felt like that was an advantage for us against Sabetha. We play Clay Center on Friday night. They have a really short bench. And so we want to continue to run people at them and see if we can't wear on them a little bit that way.
Well, and I was going to ask you about that because had an opportunity there last Thursday to see your team. And yeah, I'm not too familiar with coaches that go 10, 11, 12 deep sometimes. But what does that do to allow those kids to get that varsity experience and just to get on the court and, kind of see what they're made of and let you kind of decide who is best suited to be out there?
Well, yeah, I think it gives them an opportunity and it gives them a lot of hope and a lot of buy-in to what we're doing. And it is a little more aggressive that way than most people will do, but I've had teams in the past where I've played it that way. One team in particular I can think of, we had a very successful season, and a lot of times through three quarters the game was pretty close and didn't have a lot of flow. And then in the fourth quarter, we just ran people out of the gym because they were exhausted. And I think there's a certain element of that. And also just different people have good nights. I have girls on this team that are more suited to play against a team that wants to do a lot of zone stuff. I have girls on this team that are more suited to play against a team that wants to put a lot of pressure on. And so helping them understand where their role fits in that is always a part of it that's kind of fun for me. And we talk about that with our kids a lot. I don't know if a lot of people do that, and maybe they do. I don't know, but that's something that our kids are very aware of, and I think it helps them understand the game a lot better.
Yeah, I'll agree. Experience is one thing that you can't teach unless you get on the varsity level. And for not only this year, but years moving forward, it's almost irreplaceable. And you mentioned earlier, too, as well, you have Clay Center coming up Friday night. You have this whole week of practice to get ready for the Tigers. So in your third game of the season, what do you want to see from your team there Friday evening and just kind of work and improve on? And how do you come out and be competitive in that one?
I think a couple things, really. I want to see the fundamental things that we've been working on. I want to see those hit the game floor. That's number one. Clay Center's going to run some ball screen stuff. We've had some moments where we've handled those kind of situations pretty well. We've had a couple moments where we acted like we've never seen that before. So I want to see more consistency on that kind of stuff, and as far as moving the ball and handling the ball, taking better shots and that kind of thing. The other thing is we didn't really have a chance to do a lot of game plan stuff for the other teams for a couple of reasons. We had a couple snow out practices before we played our first two games. Sabetha had a new coach, so, there's just some elements there where if you don't know, at least in my opinion, rather than guessing as to what they might do, we're just going to work on our stuff a little extra, and that's kind of the route we took. This week, we have a pretty good idea what we're going to get, so we'll have some specific things for them. And I'm curious with this team being a little younger if they can take those game plan elements that we give them and execute them.
Well, and like we were talking a little bit beforehand too, such a strong rivalry with Clay Center, you kind of know what they're planning on, but with some different girls, you got to get them in the rhythm with how they're going to compete and how you're going to compete too as well. Again, talking with Ben Wertenberger, head coach of the Marysville girls basketball team. Ben, I appreciate your time this week. We'll look forward to chatting a little more Bulldog basketball the rest of this season.
All right, Max, we always appreciate your coverage. Thank you much.
In today's world, everyone is searching for answers. If cows are laying down, will it rain? Does gum really stay in your stomach for 7 years? How about Bigfoot? With so many mysteries, it's nice to have one clear answer. Fiber, Blue Valley Technologies proudly provides a robust fiber network with symmetrical speeds and unmatched reliability. And with 24/7 support, we are always here when you need us. Blue Valley Technologies Fiber Internet, because some things just shouldn't be a mystery.
Danes Automotive in Marysville and Waterville has always been your trusted and certified automotive repair shop. But did you know Danes carries tires? With every major brand and size from pickups, ATVs, trailers, and car tires, Danes has you covered. Don't wait until the old set gives out. Grab a new set along with balancing, alignments, and front-end work for any make and model. Find Danes Automotive in Marysville and Waterville online and give them a call to stay on the road, wherever it takes you.
Marysville Bulldogs Coaches Corner, a service of the Citizen State Banks, Darren's Repair, Inline Construction, Dean's Automotive, and Blue Valley Technology.